So
This is like going into the ultimate Goodwill store for Christian music fans.
it is.
And that's Johnny Cash's Bible, huh?
Yep. I produced 10 years of the Dove Awards way back in the early 2000s. And this tuba that I've turned into a sunflower field is actually the original tuba that was used in all of the VeggieTales videos. Longtime producer here in Nashville who produced the very first Amy Grant record. And that's the gold record from Age to Age, her first record.
No way.
A lot of people met Jesus through music. What a piece of history.
That is so cool. I wonder, because I've even thought, like, do we need a museum for Christian music? And I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
But like,
this would be like the Christmas shoes are here. Those are the Christmas shoes.
No way.
Yes, people get so excited about that.
I think I'm going to make this a Christmas episode now.
There you go.
I've been looking. I interviewed Santa Claus, and now I got the Christmas shoes. Probably not a prayer wall in any other museum in the world.
I think that's probably true.
But I want people to come and check this out. We can't give it all away. I'm hanging out at the brand new Museum of Christian and Gospel Music, and we get to meet Steve Gilreath.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for joining me on the Salty Christian. So you're going to give us a little tour of this.
I am indeed.
But it's just opened. What's the mission and the goal?
We want to put people in touch with their faith by taking them back to for some people, for a point in time when their faith first became real. A lot of people met Jesus through music, and there are those moments portrayed in here through exhibits. Music is such a big part of people's faith, and there are so many great ways to see that played out over decades, and so it's really cool to see that.
This had to be a fun project for you to work on, because you've worked in the Christian music world for how long now?
Since the 40s, feels like. It's been a long time. I produced 10 years of the Dove Awards way back in the early 2000s.
And tell people what that means by producing it. What is the producing?
The producer is the one who puts together all the pieces, so decides who gets to be in the show, what songs are going to be performed, who's going to present awards and all that. So all the bits and pieces. So where the money goes, when things go over budget, pays the price. Producer does everything, and I love producing. Done an awful lot of that. So I've been in this industry for a long time, produced a lot of music videos and all that. And so when they asked me if I would like to come and create this museum, it was a logical extension of everything I've done for 40 years. And decided it'd be a great way to cap my career. Likely the last thing I'll do in Christian music formally. And it's been a great year and a half to put this together. It's been hard.
Well, let's go show people, give people a tour real quick. So what are some of the music videos that you've done or artists you've worked with?
Well, you'll see bits and pieces of some of these in here.
Okay.
But Lauren Daigle's World Tour video for K-Love On Demand was a network that I started when I was at
we got to go over here and check out this art installation, by the way.
Oh, yeah. We want to go that way. Created a series called Brandon's Backyard, which is an acoustic series that was done in Brandon Heath's backyard with all sorts of acoustic artists.
I watched it.
All that. Love that thing. Produced over 1,000 videos, which is really, really funny.
1,000. And I was reading your bio, and I forgot about this, but you had done a piece at the White House.
I did.
In
I was
the early 2000s,
asked
right?
to produce a show there right after 9/11. The Bush administration asked us to come in to produce a show to help restore hope for our country. And we brought in, through the GMA, a whole host of Christian artists, from the Gaither Vocal Band to Jackie Velasquez to Michael W. Smith, Stephen Curtis Chapman, and Yolanda Adams, the Five Blind Boys of Alabama, and others, and CeCe Winans. Oh my gosh, what an amazing show. And to spend 3 days in the White House. It was hosted by President Bush and Laura Bush. It was an extreme honor and a lot of pressure. A lot of things are pressure in this business when you're doing live TV or whatever, those kind of settings. And I've always loved it.
That's cool.
It's been great.
All right, well, you got to tell me about this, because you told me about this a couple months ago, how you built this.
I built this. That's right. So getting ready for this, we started from scratch. What do you do when they say, hey, go build a museum? Well, you design a museum. So I went to 30 museums around the country, and almost all of them had a signature sculpture up front. And some of them were just a pile of stuff. Some of them had real meaning and true art to it. I'm an artist, and I thought it'd be really fun to tell a story, and I like to build it myself. So I built a story that's all about growing good music. It's called reap as you sow. And it started with a water can up top that's got guitar strings coming out of it that are growing a field of guitar necks.
Yeah.
And there's guitar picks coming up, and there's more guitar stuff. There's drumsticks coming up out of a field, and you'll see a river that has white piano keys coming down here, black keys coming there, and then they join. So there's a great unity theme. And this tuba that I've turned into a sunflower field is actually the original tuba that Kurt Heineke gave me that was used in all of the VeggieTales videos. Is that amazing?
No way.
Yep, and it was broken, and so he said he brought it over, and I got to use that.
Everybody knows that iconic sound. I'm not sure if I can put it in this video. It might like flag the video, but I'm gonna try. I can hear it in my head right now.
Yeah, right. Where's my hair? That's it. Where's my hairbrush? All those things are in there. Yeah, that's it. So it was so fun to just put this together. Yeah. It weighs about 1,000 pounds. Wow. It's all acrylic, which is really heavy, over a frame of styrofoam and wood. And it was pure joy. Just let my mind wander. And it took 4 months to build it because of the amount of acrylic in here, about 20 gallons of acrylic.
Yeah.
So,
when I first came in and I saw the watering can up there, and I just immediately was like, okay, that's planting seeds. And one of my first interviews I had on this channel, it was this guy, Joe Battaglia, and he's worked in the Christian film industry, but even music industry. And he shared all about so how as Christians, like we sow seeds, we water, and we let God do the harvesting and the reaping. And and we get to be a part of it.
Well, little secret here that some people see, some people don't. I want us to sow good music and spread it, but you can also sow bad music. And so if you go to the underworld down here, there's all sorts of gnarly cables and broken guitars, and there's a snake. And the snake's fangs are guitar plugs coming out of there. So, the people who find that go, "Oh my gosh, it's a snake!" and they get really excited about that. So
I love all the meaning in it.
All that. Yeah.
That is so cool. All right, so what's?
So this is our cafe. This is the Cantina Arts Cafe, featuring Just Love Coffee. Which there's Oscar over there. Love Oscar. And people come and just chill out here with a sidewalk cafe. And performance area. So we've been having a series of emerging artists here from Just Love. Yeah. Some great voices that come here a couple times a week. Love seeing their faces up on our big sign out front. Yeah. And it's just a great place to relax down here.
We should tell people the location that we're at. I mean, this is 1 block off of Broadway in Nashville. You got the Country Music Hall of Fame, 2 blocks away? I mean, this is a prime location.
We are right around the corner from African American Music Museum and 1 block from Dolly Parton's new hotel that she's getting ready to open right now. So we're on Commerce Street, between 4th and Rep. John Lewis Way.
That is so cool.
Right, it's right by the Ryman, 300 feet away. 402 Commerce is where we are. We're so honored to be at this spot. Jackie Patillo had the vision to get this effort going again. The GMA has tried several times to start a museum over 30 years. Yeah. And for whatever reason, they'd raised some money, couldn't find a spot. They found a spot and couldn't raise the money. Just in God's timing, it wasn't right. And this time, everything came together, and we've raised enough money to build it and run it for years. And it is the ideal spot. It's not a big enough spot, and we just thought it doesn't matter. We're in the right place. Yeah. We should go ahead and build it, and then we'll see what else happens with the place.
And the goal of this YouTube channel is Salty Christians, and obviously you shared at the beginning how Christian music can just inspire people and bless them, but even the idea of being down here in the center of everything in Nashville and someone walking by and the seeds that are planted, like, oh, let me go check that out, or I remember listening to DC Talk back in the day. Like, it's gonna bring people back because do you know what the stats are? How many tourists come through Nashville? I mean,
oh my gosh.
Millions. And it's
millions.
And it's growing. And so for you guys to have this prime location to remind people of maybe when the last time they listened to Christian music was in youth group, right?
Right.
And this may get them to open it up on Spotify.
I've heard that exact thing. And with our location, with the Sidewalk Cafe, we have a lot of walk-up traffic here. So far, majority is walk-up traffic. Yeah. And so people come in to have Just Love Coffee and just sit, and then, or we have people who see the sculpture from the street and come in to just find out more about it. It's a really cool phenomenon. And then people talk to them here. Oscar will talk to them and say, oh, we have a museum. And then next thing you know, they're walking through. And a lot of great things are happening here. We're pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
So.
I think we sometimes forget how much Christian music has impacted culture. You know,
Right.
I mean, there's even artists that people don't even know are Christian, but their music carries hope in it, and there's a message that's woven through it, and for some reason people are compelled to it. Well, not for some reason. We know why they're compelled to it. And so...
Yeah, and there's stages in our life that a lot of us in youth group, that was a very special thing, and you're going to see some parts inside that are going to trigger some memories.
Bring back my memories,
yes, by design. So
yeah, well, let's go check it out. Yep. We're not going to show you all of it. You need to come here to Nashville and check it out yourself. But this is kind of a cool opportunity just to tour and see what it's like. So, as a curator, how do you decide what to curate?
Where do you start?
Yeah, where do you start? Like,
you know, there could be 1,000 artists in here. There should be.
Yeah.
There's so many faithful people here. Look at Amy Grant's Unguarded Jacket. So many people talk about this. This is one of 5 that she created for her stage performance off of this album. We're so honored to have this thing. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And we put a few pieces up front to kind of catch people's attention in our store. There's all these beautiful items up here. But Dr. Bobby Jones, Fred Hammond has basses up here. And Brandon Lake's Coat of Many Colors is right up front. And that's an amazing piece that a lot of people are talking about right now. So, but we, we could go back to David before that in the Bible to talk about where we should start. And we decided we should roughly shape it around the Dove Awards since we're part of the GMA.
Yeah.
And
that goes for people who don't know what GMA stands for.
It's a Gospel Music Association. And the Dove Awards is the award show. And what makes it unique is there's no other award show in the country that unites the different forms of Christian music. There's contemporary Christian music, there's Southern gospel, there's gospel music. The GMA is the umbrella organization that kind of fosters all of those, helps people learn how to be songwriters and performers in each of those areas. And so we've started with right over here in 1850 with the Fisk Jubilee Singers here in Nashville, Fisk, beautiful university. They performed in front of Queen Victoria in England. Wow. And she said, surely you must be from a very musical city. And that's why we're called Music City, USA. And I didn't know that until we started building museums.
I bet most people think it's because of country music.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that was a really good lesson for me. So, this wall behind you, this is the backdrop. Look how big this thing is. This is 1/3 of a backdrop. We had to cut the rest of it off. This is from Third Day's Revelations tour. Oh. Millions of people have seen this from the 90s.
Yeah.
This wall is called Tours and Festivals. My vision was when people walked by, I wanted them to look at all these posters we put in here from different concert tours and say, I wanted someone to say, I was at that tour. That's where I met Jesus. And on the very first day we were open, I saw it happen.
Wow.
The woman was standing here and said, I was here. That's when I gave my life. And I'm like, oh, yeah, thank you, Lord. It's this is all incredible. So look at this Handmade Skillet poster they did. I mean, I love every one of these.
They're babies.
Yep. So I'm getting ready we're still new, 4 weeks old. So we're still improving our exhibits. I'm getting ready to put 4 new strips of things up here very soon. So, and I'm going to walk you through.
We'll go through some of this fast and just kind of
sort of quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can spend hours here. I can see already.
And people do. And there's one room they spend an average of 2 hours in. A lot of people, which is we'll get to that toward the end.
2 hours. Wow.
That's crazy. I love this case. We're still building on one piece of this, but this is Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, and Dolly Parton. They're the only 3 people in the world that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Country Music Hall of Fame, and the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. I love that picture of Johnny Cash, Billy Graham. And so we also are featuring writers who are in our Gospel Music Hall of Fame who wrote songs that those 3 people recorded. It's a beautiful intersection. And so we were given a Bible by Johnny Cash's estate.
That's amazing.
And then, so look at this. This is awesome. This is the Radnor Church of Christ directory with Dolly Parton and Carl Dean, her husband. That picture is just amazing.
And then that's Johnny Cash's Bible, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
And so And so we have some other things coming here for Dolly and all that.
Yeah.
There's some other, you see Dolly up here on this wall.
If she's got her hotel coming down the block, you better represent, right?
Well, absolutely. That's it. So, of course, she did some great things. She was on the Dove Awards twice and won 2 Dove Awards. And then she's done movies and performed for King and Country and all that. So there's this whole wall is about intersections. Most people don't know that Bob Dylan won a Dove Award, so he's represented here. And others. Whitney Houston was on the Dove Awards and has won a Dove as well. And Smokey Robinson was on one of the shows I produced. We have a big empty case here.
Ooh, mystery.
Coming soon. That's all I can tell you. Coming soon.
Yeah, I was actually, I won't spill it. I can't.
Yeah, and we're not going to show you everything, but I have to show you this.
Yeah. I know what you're.
Well, this is Rich
Again,
Mullins. Yeah.
Like one of those iconic sounds in Christian music.
Yes. This case is so loaded between Twyla Paris's Bible from when she was a kid, to Rich Mullins' dulcimer, to Don Moen's first violin, to then, oh my gosh, I think this might be the most precious thing in the whole museum.
Mm-hmm.
This is Michael Card's full songbook, probably volume 1, but all the songs he wrote. This is El Shaddai. This is the lyrics to El Shaddai that he wrote, that Amy performed.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. I mean, and it's not like another copy he wrote for another auction. This is the copy.
Wow.
It's just incredible.
Huh.
So we have a worship section here. Some of this, the first 24 feet is chronological.
Okay.
And then after that, it's broken into genres or structures. So we have bits on duos, trios, quartets, family bands. And when you walk through, you get escorted by 18 different artists from all different genres. And it's a really cool way to see a museum because they each address different facets about the industry, about songwriting, about being called to the ministry, about this or that. And it's a really interesting way to see a museum. It feels like you're walking with your good friends. If you're good friends,
I don't know if this comes through on the video, but I mean, it looks like they're sitting there. I mean, it's very high quality.
They're right there, and they look right at you.
What's up, Crowder? How's it going?
Yes.
Pet the beard.
And when we shot these, I got to tell them, hey, these aren't press answers that are 10 seconds. I want you to tell the story.
Tell your heart.
So these answers are 3 to 4 minutes. Well, there's 18 artists, and there's all these different pieces all throughout the museum.
Yeah.
You could spend 3 hours just watching these videos if you watched every one of them. I don't think most people do that, but man, there's a lot of content here.
Yeah.
So the quick overview, I think your viewers are going to like. These 2 cases, this is rock pre-2000s and rock post-2000s.
Oh, interesting.
When you see Rick Kua's jacket, of course, it all started with Stryper. So, I mean, those are the costumes. It's just amazing what they start with. So Michael Sweet came and we did an interview and he brought his stuff. And it's amazing. His brother's outfit as well. And then Chuck Girard gave this to us just a month before he passed, which is amazing. Peter Furler's jumpsuit from Take Me to Your Leader. That guitar, one of only 65 in the world. And then Steve Taylor's on the Fritz tour up there. So it's just so many great things. Randy Matthews was here about a week ago, came through and saw he sent us those pants a while ago, and that old poster's from the 70s. It's like it's so amazing to me to see all that.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And all these women called Fresh Faces, they all started before they were 18, and many of them are still at it.
Wow.
This is a beautiful gallery of just, you look at this, you see how faithful people have been, and then we get into 2000s. And this gallery, for King and Country, Mercy Me, Casting Crowns, Skillet. I mean, there's a lot in here, and we're getting ready to add Crowder in here. Casting Crowns went to North Korea.
No, I did not know that.
How many Christian bands go to North Korea? I'm going to say none.
Yeah.
And they got invited to one. I think there's the government allows 1 or 2 Christian churches to operate, so they can say, "Oh no, we have Christians here," and they got to actually go, and they gave them an award that they kind of manufactured for the event, which is it's really funny. Amazing that they got to go. So,
talk about being salt and light.
Absolutely.
Going into a communist country with Christian music.
Absolutely.
And Casting Crowns, like, it's not like, subtle. I mean, it's very overtly Christian music. So.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
That's it exactly. Then we get into more genres, but
we'll make people come to check this out.
Yeah. So rap hip hop is here. I mentioned duos here, trios over here. I see Kane's got these cool crocheted outfits, and Point of Grace is there. Look at the Martin cell phone here. Is that the coolest thing?
Oh my goodness!
They said we have our first cell phone from the '90s. We're going to break, so they brought it over. And it's just amazing. So, I love all that. And then things change right here.
Okay.
From here, if you go 10 more feet, everything changes. But we have a prayer wall, so you can write a prayer request and put it in here. And our staff and some churches will pray for you. And I think that's a really cool thing.
There's probably not a prayer wall in any other museum in the world.
I think that's probably true. Maybe Jerusalem, but not here.
Yeah.
And then we have this thing called Voices of Gratitude. You can sit down and actually record a message, and you can talk to an artist and tell them how a song has affected you, how it's changed your life, saved your life in some cases. That happens in our world. And we'll deliver that to the artist for you. Yeah. And I think that's a really cool benefit there. So
I was just telling someone the other day, they're a songwriter, and I was like, I've been blessed to work on the label side, and both you and I both worked at Caleb Radio. And when you're on that side, you get to hear those stories and testimonies all the time.
Yes.
But for the songwriters, they don't necessarily get to hear these, salvation stories and how the music that they're writing is such profoundly impacting someone's life.
Yeah.
And so,
this is still being built out. Mark Burnett of Survivor fame and The Voice and all that, and his wife, Roma Downey, are sponsoring our media showcase. We're so gratified by that. This is the intersection of movies, TV, and Christian music. So this will be like the Christmas shoes are here. Those are the Christmas shoes.
No way.
Yes, people get so excited about that. Those are them.
I think I'm going to make this a Christmas episode now.
There you go.
I've been looking. I interviewed Santa Claus, and now I got the Christmas shoes. See? I should
it's all here.
Crush it on YouTube now.
Yeah. So there's a lot more to come in here, but it's I love what's happening here. We're brand new. It's just trying to get it all put together. As you come around this curve, on the left side is our international wall. So all these are all bands that came from outside the U.S.
Delirious. That was my era.
Yep. There's a bunch.
Crowder's following us everywhere.
He is. And this is radio.
Oh. Okay.
How hard is it to put down a concise history of Christian radio on 3 big panels with some charts behind it? There's so many stories, so many personalities, but we try to make it interesting and try to put in some of the key people that are here. And I see John Rivers, I see David Pierce.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, we got some interactive back here.
We do. I love this corner of the museum. So 3 things happen here. This wall on the right are pastors who became artists and artists who became pastors.
Oh.
It's a really interesting juxtaposition. And there's cards on here, like trading cards, with quotes from all of these pastors and scripture that you can take with you when you come, and they're free. And I think that's pretty cool.
That's really neat.
Some really good quotes in there and all that. And then we have Michael W. Smith's hand-painted piano that he's toured with for years. Yanked it out from under him, so now he had to go get a new hand-painted piano with him and Bocelli and Amy and President Bush. This is called Keys to Kingdom Music, this whole corner, and but features Michael W. Smith. And then goes by Dana Key over here with Eddie DeGarmo with his guitar. What about that? And then we have stories behind the songs, and that the table you were looking at, which is really cool. You can put on headphones, and then you can look at.
This is reminding me of my days going to the Christian bookstore to listen to music.
That's a great analogy. It sure is. So you can look at names and stories, and you can search here alphabetically and all that stuff. But there's the story, and there's all kinds of information
That's
here.
Cool.
And again, there's headphones on here. Listen. Yeah. And then we're into guitars. It's called 6-String Songcrafters.
Mr. Chapman.
Good old Stephen Curtis.
SCC.
And that story is really something. This is the Great Adventure guitar that he had on the cover of Great Adventure. And they were cleaning in a studio which had a bunch of double woods up top, and knocked one off and put that hole in the guitar. And so we're going to mount this dove back in there when we get this case.
That's so cool.
Israel Houghton's guitar, and Jason Gray, and then Phil Keggy, of course, has a corner. And Wayne Watson had a fan presented this guitar to him. It's like, wow, that's a fan, all right. Look at that thing. You know?
So when someone leaves this museum, what's like your hope that, you know, because again, I wonder, because I've even thought, like, do we need a museum for Christians and Christian music? And I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
But like everything we do, we want it to have ministry and purpose. And so like for you, what would be a win? What would be exciting for you?
Well, you know what's interesting is if you really thought about it, you realize, oh, this isn't based on awards or accolades. We could have built this museum based on ticket sales, CD sales, radio play. Yeah. Some of that's mentioned here or there. Dove awards are mentioned, but it's not the driving factor for this. The stories in here that weave it all together are really about lives changed, lives affected, because that's what matters. Yeah. And it's also what makes it interesting. So, and all these artists, I mean, they've invested their entire lives just tearing apart their own life. I mean, they have to leave home all the time to be out there, and it's not as glamorous as people may think to just be out there and spreading the word over and over and over. So those are the stories we want to tell, and so it's not here. It's here to honor them, but not to glorify them. It's to glorify God.
And for people who come in here and be reminded of that time when God spoke to them through a song.
Yes.
And we've all got those moments, whether it was at a concert, you were in your car, you heard on the radio, or you put in a CD, cassette, you know, LP or whatever. So
that's correct.
That's so cool.
Man, you're going to love where we're going.
Uh-oh.
So this area is called Making Music, and it starts here with making records and breaking records, but in the middle, this console came from the gold mine from Chris Christian, longtime producer here in Nashville, who produced the very first Amy Grant record. And that's the gold record from Age to Age, her first record.
No way.
And he produced it by pulling Brown Bannister out of college to get him to become assist.
No way.
And Brown had to learn everything.
And Brown has produced a ton of other Christian artists.
He became one of the more successful producers in Christian music. Chris went on to do a number of things, a huge producer out in L.A., and now he owns a WNBA team in Dallas.
Oh, no
and has certainly gone on and on. But this console has hosted Pat Boone, started with B.J. Thomas, Dogwood, the Whiteheart first album, 1,000 albums.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the history on just this console. And Chris was very, very generous to loan it to us for the duration here at the museum. So love seeing this. And just, again, Amy Grant started with this.
Yeah.
What a piece of history.
That is so cool.
Flanking it left and right, we call it Shape Your Sound. There are two consoles. You can put headphones on, and you can actually mix the record and kind of see what a producer does.
Oh, interesting.
And so it really gives you a good chance.
Yeah.
Kind of
this would be fun for the kids
world.
then.
I mean, So.
All right, well, we're going to skip the next couple parts. I want you to show me the part where people can spend hours and hours and hours.
You got it.
Can we do that?
We can.
But I want people to come and check this out. We can't give it all away.
All right, I do need to stop you over here, which is really before that. This is the vocal booth, by the way. You can go in and record a song. After you mix a song, come in here and record your voice.
It's like soundproofed and everything?
Yes. Ish. So this is the Hall of Fame. GMA's had a Hall of Fame for 50 years. There's 197 people in the Hall of Fame.
I did not even
50 years, it's been in a cardboard box in the GMA basement. It's never had a place. It's never had a home. We're so gratified that we can give it an address. And so people can come in here and they can look through here and they can look up somebody that's in the hall and look at gallery of photos, or they can look at a full bio. This is all information they just never had before. This is so gratifying. People, and we see families come in here because many of these members are passed now, and it's like going to a memorial.
Yeah.
They spend time. Reva Rambo came to celebrate her 74th birthday, came to the museum.
No.
And Dottie Rambo's in the museum, and that's her dress. and her guitar, and Reba held out her hand and said, Mama, that's Mama, you know. And these are just precious moments.
Yeah.
And this is where Keith Green is. Melody called us and said, you know, people think Keith Green's a piano player, but he had one guitar that he wrote on, and he had one guitar his whole life. Do you want it for the museum? And we're like, yes, we do. And when we looked in the case, Dana went out there from our group, and there were some lyrics under it, and they're right there.
Wow.
Unfinished.
Unbelievable.
And then she also gave us a shirt that he wore on an album cover that's down there. And just an amazing way to get back in touch with Keith Green, who's foundational for so many people in the world. And Andre Crouch, same thing, clothes and a beautiful hat, and some of his memories down here. Yeah. And then we have Bill Gaither. Okay, so Bill Gaither is responsible, because of a homecoming, for so many people getting in the Hall of Fame. So they're all celebrated, not all, many of them are celebrated back there. Bill Gaither won Songwriter of the Year at the very first Dove Awards in 1969. And that Dove Award is here. And then
I'll have to tell my kids that these are VHS tapes.
Explain what that is. So look at this one up top. That's an 8-track. Look at Mark Lowry at 12 years old.
Goodness.
Is that amazing? Terrifying and amazing all at the same time. So
this is like going into the ultimate Goodwill store for Christian music fans.
It is.
Although you can't buy it here.
That's
you just get to look at it.
And there's a section on leading men. I see a dress by Lauren Daigle back there that goes around to something called
we'll make people come and check that out.
Yep, got to see that. This area is the Dove Award Theater. And when we're open with a full crowd, oh my gosh, people will spend 2 hours in here, and they'll be up and dancing and singing. And there's two parts to it. First of all, the gallery behind you are gowns that women have worn at the Dove Awards, from Natalie Grant to Ann Wilson to Sandy Patty to Vestal Goodman to Jacqueline Carr and Nicole C. Mullen. But you can come over to this, and you can go through 60 years of Dove Awards, and you can pick a song. And
continuing to bring hope to our hearts and praise to the one who overcomes our sorrows, my friends Phil Wickham and Brandon Lake.
All right, you got to find me an old DC. Is there an old DC talk on here?
I believe so.
Let's see. This is what
I know from the years I produced. Yeah,
youth group Matt would be looking for this.
All right. I started this year, so 2000.
Oh, third day, cool. OC Supertones.
Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Tate's there. Mercy Me. First time, I can only imagine.
Wow. I now understand how people could spend multiple hours in here.
So I had to edit all these.
Goodness.
I was going to pick originally one clip per year, and I just couldn't do it. There was too many. 98.
Steve, thank you so much for the tour. How can people, when they're in Nashville, if they're in Nashville, I'll put the link below, I guess, on where to
As you
learn about
should,
that.
yeah. cgmmuseum.org is where we're at,
Yeah.
and easy to find. It's just search for a music museum in Nashville, Christian Music Museum, whatever you want to find. But we're there and we're ready for you.
Well, and so at the end of every episode, I tell people to stay salty and shine bright. But I also like to ask my guest, a way, either encouragement to people who are watching on how to be salt and light, or a way that God's used you to be salt and light. And clearly He's used you. I mean, you've produced, stop right here. The lighting's perfect. He's used you to curate this, and to create, but you've been a part of Christian music for so long. But yeah, any just encouragement on someone who wants to be more salty, to share their faith in culture.
Yeah, I think don't ever overlook the person in front of you. And I had an interesting night on the Dove Awards years ago. Pele was on our show. At one point, Pele was the most recognizable name in the world. Soccer player.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't know he was a Christian, but he was brought to us by a publicist, and he had written a book, and his wife was a singer, Christian singer. Yeah. And the Christian artist community didn't know him or didn't care that he was there. What was interesting is that every custodian in the Opryland complex came out of the woodwork to meet Pele. They all knew who he was. And he took time to say hi to every single person from the parking lot all the way in that he could find. I mentioned Lauren Daigle when I produced Lauren Daigle video. Lauren has never gotten a stage on time in her life because she stops and talks to every single person along the way and thanks them for being there, whether it's one of the security guards backstage or the bus driver, whoever it is. And that's not lost on me. That those are opportunities just to brighten up somebody's day, find out what's going on, just those little touches. And when I have crews, when you have caterers, people that aren't in your world all day long, that's a great opportunity to, practice what you preach. I will say first, I'm not great at it all the time. I get caught in the busiest of the day, and I'm always like, I've got to go save the world. So I don't have time to save the world, but it just, we have to pay attention to what's right in front of us.
Yeah. So. Well, I remind people that we all have a sphere of influence. And what you're saying is our sphere of influence can change by the day, by the hour, and being willing to be interrupted and to take our time to just, look someone in the eye and give them love. Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so much for this tour. Again, if you want to come check out the museum, the details are down below, and thanks for watching.